A veil of mist lifts over a restless coastline. Somewhere beyond the trees, a raven calls once, then falls silent. Pine needles glisten with last night's rain, and between them, the forest breathes, alive, damp, ancient. Light breaks slowly here. It doesn't rush. It filters into the ferns, soft and fractured, like memory returning after a long sleep. A ferry hums across gray water. A deer vanishes into the underbrush. The wind tastes of salt and stories and longing. Washington is a place where the wild still holds sway. But it does not shout, it whispers. And if you stand still long enough, you might just hear what it's trying to say. You are the traveler now. Take a deep breath. Feel the hush before the telling. Welcome to Washington State. The land here isn't one story. It's many. Volcanic peaks loom like guardians of time, carved by ancient fire, now draped in snow. Rainforests pulse green in 1,000 shades, each droplet a lifetime. Rivers rush over boulders with the energy of youth. But the silence in the valleys feels eternal. In the far east, wheat waves across the Palouse like a golden sea. In the west, the Olympic Mountains catch clouds in their crags and cradle them like secrets. There are shores where orcas pass like myths reborn, and deserts where the earth splits open with heat and history. To walk here is to walk between worlds. In the 1930s, deep in the temperate heart of the Olympic Peninsula, the Makah Nation fought to preserve their ancestral right to hunt whales, not for profit, but for ritual, identity, and memory. When the world watched with judgment, the Makah stood rooted in tradition older than time. In 1999, after nearly 70 years, they returned to the sea, and the whale came. A moment that stirred protest, yes, but also reminded the world. Culture is not a museum exhibit. It is breath and blood and bone, still alive beneath the cedar trees. The soul of this place is stitched with such stories, not always loud, not always clean, but always deeply human. So how do you move through a land like this without unsettling its hush? Slowly. Here, speed is not reverence. The ferry across Puget Sound asks patience, not haste. The mountains reward the quiet climber. Even in Seattle, where steel and sound surge skyward, there's a rhythm beneath the rush, a kind of listening. Take time to learn a few words in Lushootseed or Chinook jargon. Respect tide tables. Ask before you step onto tribal land. And when hiking, leave no trace, not just because it's a law, but because the silence deserves to stay unbroken. Come in the spring to feel the forest awaken, or in late summer when the lakes still hold warmth but the crowds have thinned. And if the rain comes, as it surely will, do not curse it. Let it baptize you into the rhythm of this place. Washington doesn't demand attention. It invites it. And only those who stay long enough, listen deeply enough, will understand that invitation. So stand at the edge of a bluff and watch the fog roll in. Let the salt cling to your skin. Walk the trail alone and hear your footsteps echo not just in dirt, but in time. You are not just passing through this land. It is passing through you. The water here is impossibly clear, a glacier's memory, stilled into sapphire. Lake Chelan stretches long and narrow, like a secret whisper to the Cascade Mountains. On quiet mornings, the lake lies mirror flat, catching clouds in its reflection and holding them still, as if even the sky has stopped to listen. Boats glide slowly. Ospreys hover in silence. The scent of sagebrush drifts from the hills, where orchards bloom defiantly in the dry heat. At the far end, The road gives out, and Skykomish begins, a village without cars, only reachable by boat, by plane, or by will. Here, in this remote cradle of quiet, a post office still runs on river rhythm, and fresh-baked bread from the one-room bakery draws visitors as surely as the lake itself. It is a place not untouched by time, but untouched by hurry. In 1945, a young woman named Lucille climbed the nearby ridges each day, sketching wildflowers for Forest Service. Her notes still sit in a cedar box in Skykomish's tiny library, a reminder that even small lives leave roots. Travel here with reverence. Speak softly on the boat. Let your phone sleep. The stars are better company anyway. Hike above the shoreline at sunrise, and you'll hear what the wind has always tried to say. Lake Chelan doesn't boast. It simply opens and waits to be seen. It begins with a hush, a canyon cracked wide into basalt, sunburnt cliffs carved by ancient floods, wind-dusted and raw. Then the sound gathers, a low, growing murmur that deepens into thunder. Palouse Falls, sudden, fierce, and impossibly elegant, plunges 200 feet into a shadow bowl. The spray catches sunlight like shattered glass. Time collapses with every drop. Here, the land remembers ice. 15,000 years ago, cataclysmic floods swept across eastern Washington, sculpting the scablands into what remains. Dry coulees, vast plateaus, and this singular fall, a relic of geological violence turned beauty. Nature undone and remade. But not all stories here are written in stone. In 1984, a local high school petitioned to name Palouse Falls the official state waterfall. They were told no. They petitioned again and again. 2 decades passed before their voices finally reached the state legislature, and in 2014, Washington listened. The students had won. Persistence carved its own path, much like water always does. Visit near sunset. The basalt glows bronze, and swallows dance along the cliffs. Keep a respectful distance. The edges are crumbly and indifferent. There are no guardrails in ancient memory. Pack water. Don't rush. Let the silence guide you. And when the wind carries the mist to your skin, close your eyes, not in fear, but in awe. Palouse Falls is not loud because it wants to be heard. It is loud because it must be. It speaks the language of origin. The air shifts before you see it. A hush that thickens, cools, fills your lungs with something ancient. Then the earth opens and the water begins its descent, not in chaos, but in ceremony. Snoqualmie Falls plunges from a moss-laced ledge, a veil of white water falling 268 feet into a stone basin below. On misty mornings, it seems suspended in dream, too symmetrical, too graceful to be real. But the sound says otherwise, a roar like breathing made visible, a reminder that this land is alive, and it remembers. Long before the roads came, before rail and resort, this place was sacred. To the Snoqualmie people, The falls are the birthplace of creation. The mists that rise are the breath of ancestors, and the base of the waterfall, known as the place of spirits, is where prayers are carried into the sky. In 1898, the falls were harnessed to power a hydroelectric plant, one of the first in the U.S. to use a tunnel to direct water underground. It was progress, yes, but also intrusion. A sacred place turned functional, its holiness repurposed. And yet, the falls still fall. The spirits still rise. Some things endure, even when ignored. Stand at the viewing platform in the early light. Let the mist gather in your eyelashes. Feel the way your chest quiets in its presence. No photograph can hold this. Travelers often ask where the best angle is. But this isn't a destination for angles. It's for presence, for reverence. There's a trail to the bottom if you want to feel the ground shudder beneath you. But sometimes the best way to approach power is simply to stand still. Snoqualmie doesn't demand your attention. It invites your silence. At first, it looks peaceful. A wide, gray slope rising out of green forest. Quiet, still, almost sleeping. But Mount St. Helens remembers. On May 18, 1980, the mountain did not erupt. It unfolded. A lateral blast unlike anything ever recorded tore open the northern face. In minutes, 1,300 feet of summit were gone. Forests flattened. Rivers rerouted. Ash turned day to night across 11 states. 57 people died. Hundreds of thousands of animals. And yet, life returned. Today, the crater steams quietly beneath snow. Wildflowers push through ash. Elk tread softly over pumice fields. Lupin blooms where silence once screamed. The earth, it seems, forgives, even if it never forgets. Visit the Johnston Ridge Observatory, named for the young geologist who radioed his final words. Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it, and was never heard again. Stay long enough to feel the tension between beauty and memory, between rebirth and loss. This is not just a mountain. It is a lesson in humility, in patience, in power. If you come, don't just take pictures. Listen, mountains don't shout twice. The wind here is always moving, restless, ocean salted, and cold enough to sting. From the cliffs above, Deception Pass Bridge spans the water like a thread drawn taut between Whidbey and Fidalgo Islands. Green steel arches meet jagged stone. Beneath, the tide rips through the narrow channel in a fury of whirlpools and foam. It is beautiful. It is dangerous. It is named for a lie. In 1792, Captain George Vancouver, misled by the narrow strait, believed Whidbey Island to be a peninsula. When his mistake was discovered, he named the pass for his own error, deception, a moment of cartographic misreading that became a lasting truth. But before all that, these waters were known by another name. To the Coast Salish people, the strait is Swinak, meaning deep whirlpools. For thousands of years, their canoes skimmed these currents, fishing, trading, moving with a rhythm long forgotten by steel and sail. The bridge, built in 1935 during the Great Depression, was a triumph of design, but also marked a final shift, where the world of motors overtook the world of tides. Walk the bridge slowly. The view isn't just scenic, it's mythic. Forested cliffs plunge into teal-green water. Gulls drift on invisible thermals. Beneath your feet, the tide roars in time with the moon. At sunset, light bleeds through the trusses, casting shadows that ripple across the water. Below, kayakers navigate the currents like whispers against a growl. And if you choose to step off the road and onto the trailheads nearby, Rosario Beach, Bowman Bay, you'll find quiet places where barnacles cling and the wind speaks plainly. Here's a truth worth keeping. Not all deceptions are failures. Sometimes they lead us to names that remind us to look closer, listen longer, move slower. Deception Pass isn't trying to fool you. It's asking if you can see beyond what you first believe. Puget Sound is not a place. It's a breath, a tidal rhythm inhaling and exhaling salt water between forested peninsulas and distant ranges. Gulls wheel across a pewter sky. Ferries slip between islands like patient ghosts. The water is always moving, always whispering. In currents, in foghorns, in the language of waves touching stone. Beneath its surface lies a hidden world. Orcas travel tight as family, diving deep between shelf and strait. Giant Pacific octopuses curl in the shadows of pilings. Kelp forests sway with the tide, ancient and unbothered. This is Duwamish, Snoqualmie, and Tulip water. For millennia, canoe routes crisscross these bays. Fishing weirs stood strong at low tide. Stories travel by boat, across liquid pathways more stable than road or rail ever would be. In 1942, the waters here swallowed a silence. As Japanese-American families were forced from Bainbridge Island, ferries that once carried workers and lovers became vessels of exile. The Sound, unmoved, bore witness, not with rage, but with a kind of solemn remembering. Visit now with soft steps. Take the ferry, not the freeway. Watch the wake trail out behind you like memory. Inhale the salt. Listen to the tide logs creak against the dock. There's no single view of Puget Sound. It reveals itself in glimpses, between ferry horns and heron cries, in the hush before sunrise and the hush just after. This is water that holds stories. It doesn't rush to tell them. But if you wait long enough, it might let one go. Nestled beneath the jagged peaks of the Cascades, Leavenworth appears like a dream painted in alpine strokes. Wooden balconies, bright shutters, flower boxes spilling over with color. It looks like Bavaria, but it isn't. This town remade itself. In the 1960s, with the timber industry gone and the tracks silent, Leavenworth was fading. So the townspeople chose reinvention, turning their fading western facades into a storybook village. And it worked. Now, music fills the beer gardens and lights flicker through pine-sweet evenings. But behind the charm, the river still runs wild. Icicle Creek doesn't care about pretenses. And just beyond the pretzel stands, trailheads climb towards solitude. Come in winter for lights and snow. Come in summer for wildflowers and quiet hikes. But come knowing this, Leavenworth is a performance, yes, but also a testament to hope, to resilience, and to the strange beauty of becoming something new. The city rises out of water and shadow, a glass skyline softened by drizzle, reflection, and time. Seattle does not shimmer. It hums, not loud, but deep, like something alive under concrete, something ancient breathing beneath the steel. Pike Place Market opens its arms early, as it has for more than a century. Fish arc through the air with practiced grace. Buskers offer melody to hurried footsteps. Above it all, the scent of coffee mingles with salt and rain. But beneath these streets is another city, the old one buried after the Great Fire of 1889. Wooden sidewalks, sunken storefronts, and forgotten tunnels still linger in the dark below. A second Seattle, one born of ash, rebuilt above itself. That layering never left. Today's downtown balances contradiction. Tech towers beside century-old bookstores. Luxury hotels above labyrinthine alleys. Progress anchored in sediment. On 2nd Avenue, look up, there's a sculpted black umbrella hanging midair. On 5th, a small plaque notes where Bruce Lee once trained. The details matter here. Quiet tributes in a fast world. Seattle knows its rain. It doesn't apologize for it. Locals walk in mist without flinching. Hoods up, eyes forward, not dour, just familiar with gray. Want to feel the pulse of the city? Take a seat in a quiet corner of the Central Library. Ride the elevator in Smith Tower. Catch the monorail, just once, and let it carry you above the streets like a memory from a World's Fair dream. Travel gently. This isn't a city that reveals itself all at once. Ask questions. Tip generously. Learn a few words in Lushootseed, if you can. And when night falls, because here it falls softly, watch the lights come alive on the sound. Watch their reflections stretch out toward the water, like the city's reaching back to something it's never quite forgotten. Seattle is not just a place. It's an unfolding, layered, quiet, breathing, waiting for you to look beyond the skyline and into the story. Mount Rainier rises like a silent sentinel, a giant car from ice and rock, crowned with snow that never quite melts. From valleys thick with old-growth firs to meadows alive with lupin and avalanche lilies, the park hums with life, slow and steady. Clouds swirl in the morning sky, framing the mountain's peak like a jewel. Mist clings to the forest, softening edges, folding light into shadows. The scent of damp earth and pine fills the air. But beneath this serene beauty lies a restless heart. Rainier is an active volcano, its sleep uneasy. It shaped this land over millennia, carving valleys and cliffs with glaciers, erupting in fire and ash, rewriting the map of this wild place. In 1899, John Muir wrote of Rainier's vast, mysterious power, and today, that mystery remains. Whether in the sudden hush of the forest or the echo of a marmot's whistle across the alpine meadows. Travel gently here. Trails wind through fragile ecosystems. Stay on the paths and leave only footprint behind. Respect the mountain's moods, weather shifts fast, and snow can linger even in summer. At dusk, when the sky turns lavender and gold, find a quiet spot to watch the sun sink behind the Cascades. The mountain glows softly, a reminder of the wildness that endures. Mount Rainier is not a monument. It is a living story, still being written in stone, sky, and snow. The San Juan Islands float quietly between the mainland and the wide Pacific, a scatter of stone and forest, kissed by salty winds and endless sky. Here, the air is heavy with cedar and salt, and time moves at the pace of tides. Orcas slice through glassy channels, their sleek bodies weaving stories beneath the waves. Eagles will overhead, eyes sharp with ancient knowing. The islands hold secrets, whispered in the rush of waves against rocky shores. Long before settlers arrived, the Coast Salish peoples navigated these waters with skill and reverence. Canoes gliding silently, connected to every island and inlet by stories and song. Today, visitors come by ferry and kayak, drawn by the island's serene wildness. Take a moment to listen to the silence, the kind that hums with life rather than absence. If you visit during spring, you might hear the chorus of sea lions echoing through the coves or the distant call of a loon. Travel gently, leave no trace. Respect the fragile balance here. The San Juans do not rush. They wait for you to arrive fully, open, curious, and quietly amazed. The Space Needle rises like a slender needle threading sky and cloud, a beacon of imagination, hope, and restless ambition. Built for the 1962 World's Fair, it was a symbol of a future that felt within reach, a place where Earth touched stars and dreams found a perch. From its observation deck, the city sprawls beneath you, glass and steel dissolving into forests, water, and distant peaks. The sound stretches endlessly, its tides weaving the rhythm of the land. But the needle is more than metal and concrete. It is a marker of time and change. In the early years, the elevator operators knew every visitor's name. The crowds were small, the world simpler. Now, millions pass beneath its shadow, each carrying their own stories, their own searches. Yet, up here above the bustle, you find stillness. The wind whispers softly. Clouds drift like slow rivers. The horizon melts in soft light. Travelers often ask, what's the best time to visit? The answer is whenever you feel the need to breathe differently, to see the world anew, through glass and mist. If you visit at sunset, watch how the city's lights flicker awake, mirroring the stars emerging above. The Space Needle reminds us that no matter how far we rise, we are still tethered to earth, to water, to sky. It is a dream held aloft, waiting for you to reach it. Bellingham lies quietly at the edge of Puget Sound, where salt air mingles with the scent of fir and rain-soaked earth. The city is a meeting place, of water and land, of old and new, of whispered histories and vibrant futures. Downtown streets hum with subtle energy. Farmers markets spill over with ripe berries and artisan breads. Coffee shops invite lingering conversations. And the waterfront trails beckon walkers and dreamers alike. This is Lummi Nation land, steeped in stories that predate the city by centuries. The waters here have long carry canoes, salmon runs, and seasonal gatherings. In 1855, the Treaty of Point Elliott forever changed the relationship between native peoples and settlers, but the connection to this place endures, strong, resilient. Walk the boardwalk near the marina at dusk. Watch the ferries glide toward distant islands, and the silhouettes of cargo ships poised like giants on the horizon. Bellingham holds a quiet strength. It doesn't shout for attention, but offers refuge for those who seek it. Travel lightly here. Respect the waters and the land. Learn the names of the mountains that cradle the city, Baker, Chuckanut, and beyond. In the gentle rain or the fading light, Bellingham reveals itself not as a destination, but as a welcome, a pause, a breath between journeys. Port Townsend feels like a secret kept between sea and sky, a place where Victorian spires meet salt-stained docks and weathered wood. The streets hum softly with stories of sailors, artists, and dreamers who come seeking something more. Fog drifts in from the Strait of Juan de Fuca, wrapping the harbor in a silken shawl. Ships sway gently, their rigging creaking in a whispered conversation with the wind. In the late 19th century, Port Townsend was destined to be the Queen City of the Pacific, a booming port poised for greatness. But fate had other plans. Railroads bypassed the town, leaving it quiet, preserved, and oddly timeless. The Jefferson County Historical Society holds letters from immigrant families, reminding us that behind every weathered clapboard lies a story of hope and hardship. Walk the shoreline at sunset and listen to the gulls call. Sip coffee in a cafe where old fishermen swap tales. Browse galleries filled with work shaped by the spirit of this place. Rugged, gentle, enduring. Travel slowly here. Respect the ebb and flow of tides, the shifting light, the quiet rhythms. Port Townsend is less a place to conquer than a place to surrender to the silence, the sea, the stories waiting just beneath the surface. Loch Connor slips quietly along the Swinomish Channel, a town wrapped in the soft light of early morning and the scent of tulips in bloom. Its streets are a gentle weave of art galleries, cafes, and history, an intimate invitation to slow down and breathe. In the spring, the Skagit Valley bursts alive with color, fields of tulips painting the earth in rows of red, pink, and gold. But this land's story runs deeper still. Loch Connor is named for Louisa and Connor, an early settler whose diaries reveal a complex dance between settler and native communities. The town sits on Coast Salish territory, where fishing and weaving traditions continue to thrive quietly beneath modern life. Wander along the waterfront docks and watch fishing boats return with the day's catch. Or lose yourself in a gallery where local artists capture the shifting moods of the water and sky. Travel here with respect and curiosity. Speak softly, listen deeply, and let the gentle rhythms of the channel guide you. Loch Connor isn't a destination. It's a quiet breath held between tides. Spokane rises where the Spokane River carves deep into ancient rock, its waters rushing through chasms and beneath historic bridges. A pulse felt beneath the city's surface. In every corner, Spokane tells stories of water and fire from the native Spokane tribe, whose connection to this land runs deep and sacred, to the Great Fire of 1889, which razed much of the city, only for it to rise again, stronger and more determined. The city's heart beats in its parks and plazas. Riverfront Park, where the falls cascade dramatically through the center, and a carousel spins stories in carved wood and laughter. Walk the streets lined with murals and century-old brick, where every building whispers of a past both turbulent and hopeful. The city wears its history like a weathered coat, comfortable and real. In 1909, the Spokane tribe hosted the first annual Native American Fair here, a gathering that celebrated culture and resilience, a tradition that endures today. Travel here with an open heart, visit the museums, and listen to the stories of the land's first peoples. Respect the river's power and the city's tenacity. In autumn, Spokane's trees blaze with fire, red, gold, amber, a reflection of the spirit that refuses to fade. This is a city not just rebuilt, but reborn, a place where the river's roar is a song of survival. The Columbia River Gorge is a corridor carved by time, a breathtaking fracture where earth meets sky and water rushes through rock like a pulse. Here, wind and water are artists shaping cliffs, carving waterfalls, and sculpting forests that cling to steep walls. Mist rises from Multnomah Falls, the tallest in the state, cascading in silver ribbons down mossy stones. The air smells of wet cedar and stone. Eagles soar on thermal winds, silent sentinels of this wild place. Long before settlers arrived, this gorge was a vital passage for the native peoples, the Wishram and Wasco among them. Their pictographs still whisper from cave walls, stories of journeys, hunts, and the sacredness of the river. In 1938, the construction of the historic Columbia River Highway was a feat of vision, a road designed not to conquer nature, but to reveal it gently, weaving through the landscape like a delicate thread. Travel here with reverence, walk the trails with patience. Notice the sudden quiet as you step beneath fern-draped canopies. Respect the wildness that endures. Visit in spring when the wildflowers bloom beneath towering cliffs, or in fall, when the leaves blaze like fire against the river's blue. The gorge holds lessons about power and grace, about patience carved in stone. Stand here long enough, and you might hear the river's song, a reminder that every journey flows somewhere, and every path holds meaning beyond the horizon. Cape Flattery is the northwest edge of the continental United States, where land surrenders the ocean in a riot of cliffs, kelp forests, and sea spray. Winds howl through ancient Sitka spruce, their branches bent like whispered prayers toward the Pacific. This place is sacred to the Makah people, whose deep connection to the land and sea spans millennia. The rocky shores here hold stories of survival, ritual, and belonging, stories spoken in the crashing of waves and the flight of bald eagles overhead. The trail to Cape Flattery is a pilgrimage, a winding path through moss-draped forest, over boardwalks that creak with history. At the end, the world opens in a thunderous roar, where the Pacific crashes against towering sea stacks, and the horizon stretches infinite and wild. In 1787, Captain Charles William Barclay named Cape Flattery with a wary eye. He believed these waters would deceive and trap ships. The name stuck, a reminder that nature's beauty often hides its dangers. Travel here with respect. Stay on marked paths. Listen to the stories held in every rock and spray. Let the wind and salt wash over you, cleansing and grounding. Come early, when the fog is thick and the world feels hushed, or at sunset, when the sky burns gold and purple, a final breath before night. Cape Flattery is an ending and a beginning, a place where the wildness of earth and ocean meet, and the spirit is set free. The Hoh Rainforest breathes and whispers, ancient breath, slow and deep beneath a canopy woven thick with emerald and shadow. Mist curls like smoke between towering firs and cedars, draping the forest floor in velvet green. Here, the air tastes of moss and earth, heavy with the scent of rain that falls nearly every day. Ferns unfurl like soft hands, and fallen logs cradle delicate mushrooms in quiet reverence. This forest is a cathedral of life. Every tree is a story, some centuries old, standing tall against time and storm. The Hoh River weaves silver ribbons through the undergrowth, its voice a gentle murmur beneath the forest hush. Long before any of us came, the Quinault and whole tribes called this place home. They knew every root and stone, every whisper of wind and bird call, their lives intertwined with the forest's pulse. In the 1950s, biologists came here to study this living tapestry, uncovering secrets of old-growth forests and ecological balance. The knowledge they gathered helped protect this sanctuary from the threat of logging, a victory for preservation and respect. Travel here with humility. Walk softly on the trails. Let the quiet hold you. Let the mist seep into your bones. When sunlight filters through the canopy in golden beams, you may catch a glimpse of something timeless, a glimpse of the forest soul. The whole rainforest is not merely seen. It is felt. It is listened to. It is remembered. Rialto Beach stretches wide and wild beneath restless skies, where waves roll relentlessly over driftwood and sea glass. The air tastes salty, fresh, and fierce, a constant reminder of the ocean's untamed spirit. Dark basalt cliffs rise sharply, jagged and raw, holding secrets carved by wind and tide. Tide pools shimmer with starfish and anemones, their colors glowing like hidden jewels in the rocky shore. For centuries, the Quileute people have walked this coast, their stories carried on the wind and waves, woven into the rhythm of the tides. Their connection to this land is unbroken, a quiet force beneath the crashing surf. Visitors come seeking solitude and storm-swept beauty. Walk slowly along the beach, listen for the echo of distant sea lions, and watch for the flight of gulls against a shifting sky. Travel gently here. Respect the fragile ecosystems. Leave only footprints and take with you the quiet power of this place. Rialto Beach is where earth and ocean meet, a wild place that asks only for presence and offers endless wonder in return. Lake Sammamish lies quietly cradled by forested hills, its waters a mirror reflecting sky and pine. This lake is both a sanctuary and a living memory, a place where the city's pulse softens into the slow rhythm of water and wind. The lake's shores are woven with trails, kayak launches, and hidden coves, inviting gentle exploration and quiet mornings spent watching mist drift across still waters. Long before the city grew, the Duwamish people lived here, their lives tied to the lake's bounty, fishing and gathering with reverence the seasons. The lake has witnessed change, from native stewardship to settlers' farms, to suburban homes edging the forest line. Yet, its calm surface keeps a steady watch, holding stories beneath the surface like secrets whispered in the breeze. Visit in early dawn or late afternoon, when light softens and the world feels paused. Travel here with kindness. Respect the wildlife nesting along the banks. Leave no trace but gratitude. Lake Sammamish is not just a body of water. It is a gentle reminder that even amid growth and change, there are places where the heart can rest and breathe. Riverfront Park pulses with quiet energy, a green heart beating at Spokane Center. The Spokane River flows beneath bridges and walkways, its waters carrying stories old as the land itself. Amid the hum of city life, the park offers refuge. Tree-lined paths, fountains that dance with light, and the gentle roar of Spokane Falls. The falls are both spectacle and sanctuary, their thunder reminding us of the wildness still living beneath the urban surface. In 1974, this park was transformed from a former industrial site into a place where nature and community meet, where history is honored and new memories are made. Walk slowly. Listen to children's laughter mingling with rushing water. Notice the interplay of stone and green, movement and stillness. Travel here with open eyes and open heart. This park invites you to pause, to reflect, to connect to the river, to the city, and to yourself. Riverfront Park is a quiet promise that even in the heart of the city, nature waits patiently. The Mount Baker-Snoqualmie National Forest stretches vast and wild, a tangled cathedral of fir and cedar, rock and river. Here, mountains rise like ancient sentinels, their peaks lost in clouds and legend. Mist drifts between towering trees, softening the edges of the wilderness. Rivers rush in endless melody, carrying stories from glaciers high above to valleys below. Mount Baker, with its snow-capped summit, commands the skyline, a beacon of both beauty and power. Its slopes have witnessed volcanic fury, silent winters, and the steady march of seasons. Long before the forest was mapped or named, it was home to tribes, the Snoqualmie, Nooksack, and others. They lived in balance with the land, reading its signs and honoring its cycles. In the 1920s, conservation efforts began here, protecting old-growth forests and the fragile ecosystems within. Today, hikers follow trails once used by native peoples, walking quietly among giants. Travel gently in this place. Let the forest silence fill you. Watch for the soft footprints of deer, the flash of a bird in flight. At dusk, the air cools and shadows lengthen, and the forest hums with life. A reminder that even in vast wilderness, we are visitors passing through. Mount Baker-Snoqualmie is more than forest and mountain. It is a living story, waiting for those who listen. Tacoma sits at the head of Commencement Bay, a city where industry and art merge beneath ever-shifting skies. Steel mills and shipyards speak of hard work and history, while murals and museums tell stories of resilience and renewal. The city wears its past with quiet pride. In the late 19th century, Tacoma grew fast, a gateway to the Pacific, a place where rails met ships and dreams arrived by sea and land. But boom turned to bust, and Tacoma found itself reshaping its identity, becoming a place where creativity and community flourish side by side. Walk the museum district and let glass and light draw you in. The Museum of Glass celebrates craftsmanship, where molten art flows like fire captured in form. Nearby, the Tacoma Art Museum holds collections that speak to the Northwest soul. Beyond the city center, the waterfront stretches with parks and trails, inviting quiet reflection and fresh air. Mount Rainier looms in the distance, a guardian watching over the harbor and the city below. Tacoma's spirit is one of transformation. It reminds us that places, like people, can grow beyond old stories and find new paths. Travel here with curiosity. Explore with open eyes and open heart. Speak with locals who carry the city's history in their stories. In the golden light of sunset, when the sky paints itself in pink and gold, Tacoma stands as a testament to endurance, hope, and the beauty of becoming. The North Cascades rise like a fortress of stone and ice. Jagged peaks piercing the sky, glaciers spilling slow rivers of ancient ice. This is a land both wild and raw, a place where the air tastes sharp and the silence is deep. Mountains stretch endlessly, cloaked in dense forests of fir and hemlock. Waterfalls tumble with relentless grace, their spray catching sunlight in fleeting rainbows. For millennia, the Skagit and Nooksack peoples have called these mountains home. Their lives entwined with the rhythms of the seasons, the forests, and the rivers. The park is known as the American Alps, a rugged playground for climbers, hikers, and those who seek solitude in vast wilderness. In the 1960s, efforts to protect this landscape culminated in the creation of a national park, a sanctuary preserving not only natural beauty, but the stories held within its valleys and peaks. Travel here with reverence. Respect the fragile ecosystems. Prepare for sudden weather, and tread lightly on the trails carved by time. At dusk, the peaks glow soft pink and lavender, and the world feels suspended, held in a moment between day and night. The North Cascades are not just a place to visit. They are a place to remember, a reminder of nature's power, beauty, and quiet persistence. Rosario Beach lies tucked away on the western edge of Orcas Island, a quiet cove kissed by salt air and the ever-moving tides. Here, the shoreline is a mosaic of smooth stones, driftwood, and sea glass, where the ocean's rhythm is a constant, soothing presence. The water laps gently against the sand, reflecting the soft blues and grays of the sky above. Seagulls wheel overhead, their calls mingling with the whisper of the breeze through the cedars. This beach holds a calm pulse of island life, unhurried and deeply connected to nature. Rosario is named after the historic Rosario Resort, once a private retreat that opened its doors in the early 1900s. Its old-world charm and maritime history echo in the preserved buildings nearby, offering glimpses into a time when this place was a haven for artists, travelers, and dreamers. The surrounding waters teem with life. Seals play in the shallows, salmon swim beneath the surface, and orcas glide silently beyond the horizon. Travel gently here. Walk the tide pools with care. Listen for the stories carried on the breeze, and honor the delicate balance between land and sea. Visit at dawn, when the light is soft and the world feels new, or in the golden glow of late afternoon, when the beach seems wrapped in a quiet, lingering embrace. Rosario Beach is a whisper, a quiet invitation to pause, to breathe, and to listen deeply to the song of the sea. Colchuck Lake rests like a jewel cradled by the jagged peaks of the enchantments. Its waters a mirror of cobalt and crystal clarity. Surrounded by towering granite cliffs, it holds a serene stillness. broken only by the whisper of wind and the occasional call of a distant bird. The trail to Colchuck is a journey in itself. A slow climb through forests of fir and hemlock, past rushing streams and wildflowers that gnawed gently in the mountain breeze. Long before hikers came seeking its beauty, this land was a home of the Wenatchee people. They called it a place of power and sustenance, where nature and spirit met. Today, the lake remains a sacred refuge, where every stone and ripple tells a story. In summer, the water's chill is sharp and clear, inviting brave swimmers who seek to touch the mountain's heart. Camping near its shores feels like stepping into a timeless dream, where night skies blaze with stars and silence reigns. Travel here with respect and care. The fragile alpine environment asks for gentle footsteps and quiet voices. Pack out all you bring in. Leave only footprints and carry the lake's peace within you. Colchuck Lake is not merely a destination. It is an invitation to pause, to reflect, and to become part of something larger, something ancient and eternal. The Skykomish River courses like a silver ribbon through valleys carved by time. Its waters restless, weaving between forests and mountains, alive with the pulse of the wild. Ancient cedars lean over its banks, their roots tangled deep in rich earth, while moss-draped branches reach toward the sky like silent sentinels. This river is a lifeline, a thread connecting the land of people who have called it home for millennia. The Skykomish tribe once thrived here, their lives entwined with the rhythm of the river's flow. Salmon runs marked seasons, and the river was a highway of culture, sustenance, and spirit. Today, the river carries stories both old and new. Fly fishers cast lines in quiet pools, seeking connection with something primal. Kayakers and rafters ride its currents, embracing both thrill and respect. In the early 1900s, the river powered mills and trains, fueling industry's march. Yet, the land remembers the balance, pushing back through restoration and reverence. Travel here with awareness. Respect the river's power and fragility. Approach with quiet steps and open heart. As the sun dips low, the river glows, a molten thread weaving through shadow and light, reflecting sky and forest in shimmering dance. The Skykomish River is more than water. It is a story of life, endurance, and the quiet strength flowing beneath us all. Rattlesnake Ledge rises sharply above the forest, offering a window to the world beyond, a vantage where earth, sky, and lake converge. The trail winds through dense evergreens, the scent of pine and cedar thick in air, each step a rhythm in nature's steady heartbeat. This ledge is a favorite of those seeking both challenge and solace, a place where the climb stretches muscles and the summit feeds the soul. At the top, the view unfolds, Rattlesnake Lake shimmering below, mountains reaching skyward in the distance, clouds drifting lazily in the vast blue. Though its name might evoke caution, rattlesnakes are rare here. The name is a whisper from early settlers, a reminder of wildness lurking quietly beneath. Long before native peoples knew these lands intimately, their footsteps tracing the ridges, their stories woven with the changing seasons. Travel here with respect. Stick to the trails. Take only memories and photographs. And share a moment of gratitude with the wilderness. When the sun dips low and the sky softens, sit quietly on a ledge and breathe the vastness. Rattlesnake Ledge reminds us that the world is wide and every climb offers a new perspective, a chance to see both the land and ourselves more clearly. As this journey through Washington State draws to a close, carry with you the echoes of rivers and forests, the whisper of ancient trees and the roar of cascading falls. You have walked paths both wild and tender, felt the weight of history beneath your feet, and glimpsed the quiet spirit woven through mountain, sea, and sky. This land holds its stories gently, offering them to those who listen with open hearts. May you leave here not just as a visitor, but as a traveler changed, marked by the beauty, mystery, and soul of this place. Wherever your path leads next, remember the soft call of the wild, and know that the spirit of Washington waits for your return. You are the traveler now, and the journey is always just beginning.